Good evening, everyone. Erev Tov. Shabbat Shalom. Start with this one to set the mood. Shalom Aleichem Malachei Asharei Malachei Elyon Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Boachem l'shalom, malachei ashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, malachei ashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem l'shalom, malachei ashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei amlachim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All right. I'll say it again as people keep filling into our virtual congregation service this evening. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. My name, as it says there in front of the candles, is Rabbi Matthew Leibl. And as the screen mentioned before we started, and this is going to be my final opportunity to join all of you for Kabbalat Shabbat as we bring in Shabbat together. We're coming to you live from Congregation Sharet Zedek in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, and the Rabbi Berkel Chapel. I've got a story about this chapel that I'm going to share with you before Kiddush and the end of our service. Thinking about how fitting it is to be here. It's weird how much better it would be if we would all be able to be together, maybe even the sanctuary for this service and for future services. And we're close. We're getting there. You can feel it. We're getting close. But tonight, as we've been doing for the last year and a half, it is an honor that you have invited me into wherever you are. Maybe it's your home, maybe it's your cottage, maybe it's your office, or even you're listening in the car. And we always say, if you're listening in the car, you are exempt from the stage directions of facing east and facing the door and bowing. Just focus on the road. Wherever you are, though, thank you again for inviting me in, for joining all of us. Maybe you're watching on the website, www.szwinnipeg.ca. That's where you can go to find the prayer book to follow along with the service. All our Sidurim, all our prayer books are there. Follow the link that says prayer books and click on the one for Friday night. Maybe you're watching on our Facebook or YouTube channels. If you are on the YouTube channel, you can like us, you can sign up to be notified every time we go live, and most importantly, you can interact with each other and with me through our chat, which is on the computer over there. And I will get to the messages throughout the service as we go, because it's very nice, but the main purpose of being here together is to bring in Shabbat together. So the sun will be setting a few hours from now, but for our purposes, the candles are lit, the wine is poured, the keys are ready to go. That's minor. How about something major? I mentioned last week, for those of you who were with us last week, I've been listening to way too much Elton John lately. To the point where my son Hugo was going over to a friend's for a social distance visit, and her name was one of the her name was Betty, and I said, "Who are you going to go see?" Betty and he said the Jets, because he's been hearing me play a lot of Elton John. So The keys are good. The Elton John Shabbat was last week. This is a nice. We're halfway through the month of Tammuz, and we're gonna have a beautiful service together. Friday night, as I mentioned, is my favorite service of the week. No disrespect to the other services. The other services are great. Some of them have really great things going for them. Always been particularly fond of Tuesday morning. Don't know why, but Friday night is my favorite, and it's been an honor doing it for the last few years. And I'm really looking forward to tonight. So thank you for being here. Again, you can go to the website sedwinnipeg.ca and follow along with the prayer books. And yeah. All right. So we actually begin in lieu of Mincha by reciting a psalm and then moving right into the Mourner's Kaddish, in recognition of the people whose yortzites we are commemorating on this day, because as many of you know, and some of you are new, so welcome to our service, and hopefully this won't be your last visit for Kabbalat Shabbat. If it's your first time in a while, you turn it into a routine. It's a great service. But as the service evolves, we move from one day to another on the calendar, right? Even though the sun will set later, liturgically, as far as our service goes, Shabbat begins not actually right now, but in the course of the service. We go from one day to another. And so when we recite Kaddish during the service, we're actually commemorating 2 different days on the calendar. This is the way, of course, it is for our Mincha Mariv every day of the week, right, as we bridge from one day to the next. And so we begin on page 174. If you're following with the PDF on our website, it's the first 2 slides right away, are the Psalm and the Mourner's Kaddish, and then they follow in sequential order the way the Siddur would. So we begin with page 174. It's so great to have all of you along. Please feel free to chat with each other and with me, and I'll try and get to the messages. Feels like there are going to be a lot of them, so I'll do my best. And thank you for being here. Let's have some fun, and let's bring in Shabbat. Page 174. Mismor shir chanukah Rabbi leDavid armim charonai ki dilitani velo simach oivai li. Ma betza b'dami b'riti el shachar Leman yezamercha chava v'lo yidom Adonai Elohai le'olam odeka. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 176. Friday on the Hebrew calendar is the 15th day in the Hebrew month of Tammuz. And on the 15th of Tammuz, we commemorate the following yortzites. Rose Hector Balaban, Rezel Bat Yaakov, Henyek Chukerman, Clara Schindelman Greenberg, Chaya Bat Gershon Ushprinza, Myra Kravetsky, Mariam Rezel Bat Shlomo, Shirley Newman, Sarah Bat Zev, Sidney Parks, Nisan Ben Yaakov, Yitzchaka, Mark H. Rothberg, Tzvi Menachem Mendel, Ben Reuven Vesandra, Clifford Rusin, Akiva Ben David, Rachel Shore, Rachel Bat Avraham Leib Vitova, Kay Silverstein Silver, Kayla Bat Yosef, Harry Allen Stitz, Avraham Hersh Ben Mordechai, Risa Reitza Wiseman, Risa Bat Yosef Vechaya Rochel, Israel Weinberg, Lynn Bat Helen, Yefim Ben Moshe Gusakovsky. And from One More Candle, the organization that helps us remember the 1.5 million children who perish in the Holocaust. Every day we call the name of another child who perished twice a day, and that is the name Henyek Chukierman. All these souls, Zichronam Livacha, of blessed memory. If there's anyone with a yortzeit, with a loved one who passed away on the 15th of Tammuz and we have not called his or her name, please type it in the chat if you're able so we can call it out loud. We also want to recognize those we lost this past week in our community here in Winnipeg. We mourn their passing and we honor their memory. Bernice Risson Levine, Bela Bat Shaul Vasarachaya, Barry Wiseman, Baruch Ben Chaim Umalka, Zichronam Livracha. Mourners and those observing yortzeit, please rise on page 176, and you can join with me in these words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba. Be'alma divra chirutei v'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'alam u'lamei almaya. Yiparach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav u'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. All right, yeah, the keys sound good. A couple weeks ago, we had a scare with one of these speakers. It's pretty good. Don't know what that was. There's something cool there. Anyway, so the keyboard's good. This keyboard, I was telling you, this keyboard is the first keyboard ever that that my parents purchased for me 20 years ago, 2001, when I just started playing in a band with some very accomplished musicians. They always were, but they've become. And it's got plastic keys. It's only got 66 keys, but it's got just... It's all about the tone. It's just got this great piano tone. And then I used it for other effects and things like that throughout the years I played in Chai. Anyway, it's been at the synagogue for Kabbalat with keys for the last 3 years. I love it. And hopefully, if you're new, you will love it too. And those of you who are back, I can only imagine you love it. Otherwise, I'm going to make the safe assumption, I think is a safe assumption, you wouldn't come back. Let's go forward. Page 22, L'chu neranena, Ladonai, come, let's rejoice to God. L'chu neranena, L'chu neranena, L'chu neranena, Ladonai. L'chu neranena, L'chu neranena, L'chu neranena, Ladonai. Naria, naria, letzuri shenu, nekad mafanav betoda. Naria, naria, letzuri shenu, bizmirot naria lo. L'chu neranena, L'chu neranena, L'chu neranena, Ladonai. L'chu neranena, L'chu neranena, L'chu neranena, Ladonai. Remember, the first part of this service, the selections from the Psalms, are meant to evoke creation, the majesty, the beauty of God's creation, because Shabbat is all about being mindful of 6 days of creation and then the separation with the seventh day of rest. That's why the number of Psalms is what it is. That's why so much of the imagery in these Psalms is what it is. So as you continue to work through the Hebrew or the English, when we have our silent interludes between the opening and the songs and the refrains and the nusach, that is the idea of what they want us to be thinking of, building us up as we start this service building us up towards Lecha Dodi, when the Shabbat bride, we actually picture her coming through the door and into our wherever we are. Because now we're in so many different places, even though all together we are here. So, something to be mindful of as we work through in silence until 3 lines from the bottom, page 22. Ki el gadol Adonai u'melech gadol kol Elohim asher b'yado b'chakrei areh. Arba'im shana kut bedor v'almaram toei levavhem v'hem lo yadu derachai asher nishbati ve'api im yevoun el menuchati. Page 24. Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato. Sapru vagoyim kvodo becholamim niflotav. Silently working our way on page 24. Bottom of page, or 4 lines from the bottom. I always said if you took some of the hit tunes from Friday night and arranged like a greatest hits, I think this one comes in, for me personally, maybe at the 3rd position. Or maybe 4th. And it's got your part too, so let's hear it. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam umelo. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam umelo. Lifnei Adonai. Lifnei Adonai kiva, kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, ve'amim be'emunato. Maybe I'll explain my laughter later. For now, let's keep going. Page 26. Adonai malach tagel haaretz yismechuim rabim. There were a few messages here that were, oh man, wow. There's so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. This is so nice. Bonnie Robinson, Shabbat Shalom. Jerry, Shabbat Shalom. Fraser, it's so nice to have you here. Sandy, Sid Halpern, that's wonderful. The Polanski said, Marvin, Diana, with you. Oh, Judge RLP. Thank you so much. Claire Whiteman, I saw her on the street on the way over here. So nice. I wasn't sure if you were going to make it back in time. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, there's a lot of people to say hello to. Alain, Louis, and Deb, Susan, some of our regulars on Friday nights, Claudette, the Dance Dad Piper, Zelda, Arnie, Shabbat Shalom. No, it was wonderful. Zana, it is really nice to have you here as well. Eugene, Holly, Barb, Mila, Jerome, the HIS sibling, Terry Kushner, Evelyn Hecht, the West Hawk Hechts, Bonnie Cham, thank you, Beverly, Ruth Lehman, Yerach, Avita, Yuda, Lori and Israel, Glory, Fabiana, Rochelle, Gustavo, Ted, Harriet, and Sauce. So nice to have you. Anita and Ian, Fanny, Thelma, Hannon. Oh, it's very nice. I'll come back. Bottom of page 26. Or zaru al tzadik, uleishrei lev simcha, simchu tzadikim badonai, ve'odu lezecher kodsho. Page 28. Mizmor shir l'Adonai, shir chadash, ki niflaot asa. Kathy, Shabbat Shalom. Barb and Sid, had you for so many Friday nights. Thank you. Rottweiler boy, you too, out in Victoria. By a vowel, Rottweiler boy. By a vowel. David Salida and Chava, Shabbat Shalom. Missed the two of you. Thank you for being here. Sharon and Shelley. Janice, it's nice to see you here on the chat. Thank you. Chana Tao, appreciate it very much. Lori Marmel, thank you so much. Belva and Jack are here. Shabbat Shalom to both of you. Sarah B., Karen, Jackie Sipe, thank you. Thank you. You know, let's do halfway through page 28. I always thought this one was so beautiful. And Rabbi Mas taught it to me, as I like to say, years ago when he was Cantor Mas. And it starts with Zamru Ladonai, more about praising God through music. Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Bechinor, וכל זמרה, בחצוצרות וכל שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי ונהרות, עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו לפני אדוני קיווה לשמור הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים במישרים. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי ונהרות, עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו יחד, הרים ירננו. Page 30. Adonai Malach Yirgazu Amin. Murray and Sharon, Shabbat Shalom. Karen, thank you so much. Patty and Arthur, oh, lovely. Louise and Lillian and Rose, the Muchnings, that's so nice. And Leslie Coven, thank you. And family. Just Shabbat Shalom to all of you. It's so nice to have so many people here. Bottom of page 30. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Page 34. Oh, some old friends coming out of the woodwork for this service. I love it. And maybe they've been here before all along, but now they're chatting, which is really kind of cool. I got a few people chatting. Jerry Posner. Oh, my old friend from university days, David Wadsworth, watching from Cambridge. It's good to have him. Shabbat Shalom, David and family. Just joking. Those are my in-laws. That's what made me laugh before. I was seeing that pop up. It just caught me. I'm just so... Heather's family's been very, very good to me. In public, behind closed doors, they treat me terribly, but they've been very publicly been wonderful. And Charlotte is here, and Gloria and Jerry. Oh, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. And Judy and Dan Betzel. Oh my gosh, my one of the gentlemen, one of my classmates with JSLI, along with Rabbi Mas when we studied together. Dan watching for us, and Lauren and Louise are watching. I saw that. And Susan is here. It's beautiful. Page 34, the custom, this is the last one before Lecha Dodi. The custom is to rise. You may recognize the words of this psalm. It's very popular on Shabbat mornings, from Shabbat mornings where we take the Torah back to the Ark. But we use a different tune on Friday night, Sephardic melody. So please rise, page 34. Mizmor LeDavid, Havul Adonai b'nei Elim, Havul Adonai kavod laoz, Havul Adonai kevod shemo, Ishtachavu Adonai behadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, El hakavod hirim Adonai, Amayim, Amayim, Amayim Rabim, Amayim, Amayim, Amayim Rabim. Kol Adonai bakoach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkidem kemo egel, Levanon v'Sirion, kemo ven remi, kemo ven remi. Kol Adonai chotzev lahavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yecholel ayalot, Vayechesof ye'arod uvehechalo, Kulo merkavod, Kulo merkavod, Kulo merkavod. Adonai lama bo yashav, Vayeshev Adonai melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom, et amo v'shalom. Please be seated. Wow, it is. I'm trying to get to everyone and just wish a Shabbat Shalom to Valerie, whose email this week blew me away, and to Carol and Sarah Bloomberg, whose email this week blew me away, and to Naomi Ginsburg, who I get a little bit of credit for helping, minor, for helping her become Naomi Ginsburg for the wedding. It says there, the Ginsburg tribe, you married us, Rabbi Matt. I was there, I remember. Quick story about Naomi from her wedding. The greatest feat ever by a bride I have witnessed under the chuppah was Naomi. It was a hot summer night. Feels like meatloaf. It was a hot summer night out at Fort White, and things just weren't right under the chuppah that was white when there was a wasp. And Naomi grabbed that wasp with her bare hands, crushed it, so it wouldn't interfere with our chuppah. Wow, and she's back. Allison, so nice to have you here. Oh, Andrea and Irene. Zeta Ellis from Salt Spring Island. That's got to be Eric. That's wonderful. Oh, my goodness. Hartley Hyman, it's beautiful. And Bill and Alice. Oh, wouldn't want to miss Bill and Alice. Rosie is there. Faggy Hack. Terry Cherniak. My goodness. Alan and Gloria. Arla Strauss is here. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Shabbat Shalom to all of you for being here. What a wonderful service so far. We're breaking records. We're breaking records. Okay, here we go. We don't want to be here all night, do we? Page 38, Lecha Dodi. So, for those of you who are new, because I can tell by the number, there's some of you who are new. And I hope it won't be your last Kabbalat Shabbat, because like I said, it's my favorite. Lecha Dodi is this epic love poem. Some people do selections. I like to do the whole thing and change the tune a couple of times throughout it because so many different musical versions of Lecha Dodi have been written, and it allows our mood to change and flow and build as we work through it. I mean, we build through the first part of the service. Why not keep building through Lecha Dodi? Because the last stanza, the last of these 9 stanzas, where we say, Bo'ī v'shalom, we welcome the Shabbat bride into our lives. People say, oh, at Jewish weddings they don't stand when the bride comes in. Come on, of course we do. We do when the Shabbat bride comes in, and that's what we'll get to at the end of Lecha Dodi. We'll stand up, we'll face the door, whichever direction the door is, and we'll bow on Bo'ī Chala, welcoming the Shabbat bride in. This epic love poem from the age of the Kabbalists, 400 plus years ago in northern Israel. They would run out into the streets on Friday nights to greet the Shabbat bride. I did not see that happening on my way over here, but hey, times change. So we've got 3 musical versions. The first is one I learned during the pandemic from a singing rabbi on the internet who's great. Check him out, Rabbi Josh Warshawski. I love his version of Lecha Dodi. Then it goes into the one I learned at Ramah Hebrew School, the upbeat Hasidic one that has a part for you. And then the last one is the Craig Taubman one that brings it all home. So here we go. Likrat kala penei Shabbat nekavela lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekavela shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shem tiferet ve'litila Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nisucha sof maaseh b'machashava techila lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekavela lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekavela Mikdash melech ir melucha kumitzei mitoch hafecha Rav lach shevet be'emek habacha vehu yachamol alaychem lecha dodi Likrat kala penei Shabbat nekavela lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekavela Hinari me'afar kumi Limshi bigdei tifartechami Al yad ben ishai beit alachmi Karvai al nafshi ge'ala Lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nekabela Page 40 Hitoreri Kiva orech Kumi ori Uri shir daberi kivod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala. B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lo tevoshi velo tikalmi, ma tishtochachi umatehemi, v'chechesu aniyei ami, v'nivneta ir al tila. Lecha dodi dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. V'hayulim shisa shosaich, v'rachaku komev alayich, yasis alayich Elohayich, kimsos chatan al kala la 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 lecha dodi likra likrat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekavela, lecha lecha dodi likra likrat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekavela. Yaminu smol tifrotzi, ve'et Adonai taritzi, al yadish bein partzi, v'nismecha v'nagi la 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 lecha dodi likra likrat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekavela, lecha lecha dodi likra likrat kala, b'nei penei Shabbat nekavela. All right, last verse. Invite you to rise wherever you are, face the door. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala, lecha lecha dodi likra likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela, lecha lecha dodi likra likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela, la 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 lecha dodi likra likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela, lecha lecha dodi likra likrat kala, penei penei Shabbat nekavela. Please be seated. Woo! Sure, I wore a long shirt today. Long sleeve shirt. Well, my fashion consultant tells me to wear darker colors on screen, so I wanted to wear a long sleeve shirt. Thank you so much. Everyone is sending all these beautiful messages. It's overwhelming, and I got a little bit behind reading them. And I don't want to take all of your time. So I'll try and check in with them as we go along. But thank you for sending them. I'll be sure to read them before the end. But we'll continue with our service, bringing in Shabbat together. For those of you who may have arrived in a few minutes late, which is totally fine. That's what Shul is all about, isn't it? Our website, sedwinnipeg.ca, has our prayer book. Click on the link, follow the one for Friday night, and you can follow in PDF format. We've got 2 stops left in Kabbalat Shabbat, and then we'll move into the evening service. The Ma'ariv for Shabbat with hits like the Baruch, the Shema, Hashki Venu, Micha Mocha, Kiddush, all coming up. For now, page 42, I love this one. The Psalm for Shabbat. I'll take you to the last 4 lines. The righteous shall flourish like a palm tree. Rabbi Mas says I'm old-fashioned for liking this tune. I can live with that. Old school works a lot of the time. It does, it does. Tzadikata Marifra Levanon Iske Shtulim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun V'Seva D'Shenim Verananim Lehagi Ki Ashar Adonai Tzuri Tzuri Velo Avlatabo. The messages. I look up and there's some new ones. It's amazing. Thank you, everyone. I'm humbled. I am very overwhelmed. Page 44. Adonai malach yehu lavesh Adonai osita zar. Eidotecha nemnu meod levecha nava kodesh Adonai leorech yamim. So that concludes Kabbalat Shabbat, and as I mentioned, Mariv is around the corner, but we take a pause here. This is the moment in the service where we switch from the 15th of Tammuz to the 16th of Tammuz. This is the moment when we switch from the regular, ordinary feeling of the week to the special, sacred, holy time and space of Shabbat. This week, Shabbat is the 16th of Tammuz, as we mentioned, and on the 16th of Tammuz, here at Congregation Shered Zedek, we commemorate the following yortzites: Abraham Baum, Avraham ben Yaakov David Halevi V'Kela, Joshua Berenstein, Yehoshua ben Avraham, Harry M. Finkelman, Hersh Moshe ben Kalman V'Clara, Erwin Benjamin Gale, Yitzchak Beryl ben Tzvi Hersh, Rose Geffen, Razel bat Moshe V'Chana Gito, Percy Guess, Pesach ben Kolman V'Sheva, Samuel Glesby, Shlomo Zalman ben Chaim Leib, Sergio Glogowski, Binyamin ben Peretz V'Shoshana, Philip Goldstein, Fishel ben Yosef Shia V'Chana Rivka, Doris T. Margolis, Devorah bat Pesach, Ruth Miller, Rachel bat Mordechai Yaakov V'Rivka, Helen Bertha Ratner, Hinda Bala bat Shimon Yaakov V'Chaya, Pearl Ratson, Zichronam Livracha, all of blessed memory. And from one more candle for the 16th of Tammuz, we remember Mindel Geigelfarb of blessed memory. Again, I'd like to acknowledge that if there's someone with a 16th of Tammuz yortzeit your loved one's name has not been called, if you can type it into the chat so we can call it out loud, please do. We'd also like to give recognition, honor the memory, and mourn the passing of those we lost this past week in Winnipeg in our Jewish community. Bernice Risson Levine, Bela bat Shaul V'Sarachaya, and Barry Wiseman, Baruch ben Chaim Umalka. May their memories be for a blessing. On page 124, mourners and those observing yortzeit, I invite you to rise with me and join in these words, the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabba, be'alma divrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'agalal v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevorach le'alam ulamei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. I invite everyone to rise and remain standing as we move into the Mariv, the evening service for Shabbat, and now we liturgically move into Shabbat. The Baruch Hu, let's face east and in our call to worship. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. Continue silently, page 50. Baruch atah Adonai. Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila. Adonai tzvaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamidim loch aleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai. Hamari v'aravi. Page 52, we have two blessings leading up for the Shema. I saw this message, and you know what, David, you're absolutely right. I was remiss in mentioning it. We were going to mention it publicly tomorrow morning, but I'm not going to wait. I'll pause. There was this, you saw in the news probably, this building that collapsed in Florida, and it's just a horrible tragedy. Many people missing, and many people have died, and they are in our thoughts as well for the Kaddish. We will have a recitation, one more Mourner's Kaddish before the end of the service that we can do all together. And we will be mindful of them, of those souls. And also the people who are wounded we will mention in the Misha Beirach. So David, thank you so much for bringing that up and reminding me so that I can mention that. And we'll mention it again. Thank you. For now, as we build up to the Shema, page 52. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amchavta. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negei yomam v'layla ve'ahavatcha tasir mimenu lolamim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. On page 54, let's cover our eyes. Let's join together. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'ayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha yom alevavecha Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam Beshivtecha beveitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha Ve'ayu letodafor beineinecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. We can continue silently through the second and third paragraphs of the Shema on page 56 and 58. Page 60, the lead up to Micha Mocha. Emet v'emunah kol zavakam elokim Adonai. Umalchuto beratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe v'nei Yisrael L'chanu shira b'simcha rabba V'hameru chulam micha mocha Va'elim Adonai Mika mocha nedar b'kodesh Nora teilot osef elev Malchutcha ra'u v'necha bokeam lifnei Moshe Zeli anu ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed V'ne'emar kif Adonai Yaakov ugalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. We're moving on to page 62. Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Ve'avidenu malkeinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Ve'avidenu malkeinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Ve'avidenu malkeinu l'chaim. 3 lines from the bottom. Ushmor tzeitenu uvoenu l'chaim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim V'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Skip down to 2 lines from the bottom where we left off. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai Hapores Sukat Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim Amen. Ufros aleinu Sukat Shlomecha Ufros aleinu Sukat Shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai Hapores Sukat Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen, amen, amen. All right, we're almost at the Amidah. Page 64, I invite you to rise. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasod et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasod et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshen yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasod et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasod et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam berit olam. Wow, there have just been some amazing messages. Thank you so much for being here. I feel terribly because I was reading messages and we got a little behind, and I don't want to keep you here all night. So we've got the Chatzi Kaddish now and then the silent Amidah. The silent Amidah is so important, especially because this is the first Amidah of Shabbat. You can follow in the prayer book, Hebrew, English. You can use your own words of prayer. We always encourage people to do that. The Amidah is a collective prayer. We pray in the plural. We, us. But especially with a silent Amidah, this is an individual, a private audience before God. That's how it has been positioned for 2,000 years. So it's something to take advantage of. And then when we come out of the silent Amidah, there's a few of the parts in Hebrew that we mention again out loud. That's the Jewish way. And then we've got Kiddush, and right before Kiddush I'll say something. And that's where we're headed. So page 66. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shemei Rabbi, ve'alma divrach hirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'izman kariv imru amen, yehei shmei Rabbi mevorach le'alam u'lamei almayah. Viparach v'ishtabach, v'par v'troman v'naseh, v'tadar v'taleh v'talal, shmei nekudesha richu, leila min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, v'imru, amen. Silent Amidah begins on page 68 or 69. The difference, 68 is kind of the older opening with just the Avot, just the patriarchs. 69 includes the Imachot, the matriarchs, which for the record is the way we do it every time we do it out loud. You get to choose, of course, Hebrew, English, or your own words of prayer. And we'll take a few minutes now and retire into the silent Amidah. In a minute, we'll continue on page 80, but before we do, I want to make the Misha Berach for all those who are in need of a refuah shlema. In addition to the list that we're about to read, we mentioned it earlier, the terrifying collapse of the building in Florida, and there are many people who are missing, and there are many people who are injured, and we want to think of all of them and add them to the list. In addition, all the people who are suffering worldwide from this pandemic. And of course, we acknowledge the doctors, nurses, and other healthcare providers who continue to fight against this pandemic all over the world. We pray for them as well. And as well, the people on our list. A refuah shlema for all of them. May it be physical, spiritual, a mental health recovery, or something emotional. Hachazan Shefer ben Miriam, Shendel bat Miriam, Harav Avraham Yehoshua Heschel ben Ruth. Reisa bat Sarah, Gavriel ben Etel Gita, Chaya Mindel bat Sura Fega. Esther Leah bat Menicha, Leah bat Adel, Colin Rich, Maureen Rich. Chaim Osher ben Chaim Malka, Meir David ben Machlia, Rachel bat Sonia. Alfie Glass, Beryl ben Devora, Esther Bela bat Sarah. Lucy Braverman, Michael Braverman, Karen Greenberg, Georgina Tassara, Judy Itzkevich, Phyllis Hatskin, David Zvi ben Sarah Pessel, Dina Rachel bat Sarah Esther, Yitzchak Chaim ben Sarah, Tova Yael bat Dina Rachel, Shira Naomi bat Dina Rachel, Eliezer Meir ben Tova Yael, Katriel Yosef ben Tova Yael, Yisrael Chaim ben Shira Naomi, Dave Scammell, Harav Rehuvein Pinchas ben Yehudit, Alukim Pesach ben Esther Pessi, Sharon bat Golda, Shoshana bat Sarah, Adrian McDonald, Frida bat Regina, Chaya Zahava bat Leah, Eliyahu Lev ben Rivka, Atara bat Etel, Shmuel Leib ben Gittel, Dana Brinley, Janice Diner bat Batsheva, Stephen Alexander Lee, Kalman Beryl, Yitzchak Moshe ben Rachel Reza, Ariel ben bat Sarah, Denise Fram Leach, Tzvia bat Brana, Aviva bat Malka, Yaakov ben Sion ben Miriam, Isabella bat Sarah, Batsheva bat Sarah, Yitzchak Dov ben Bela, Moshe Aharon ben Leah, Miriam Rachel bat Leah, Chavanecha bat Sabra Root, Caroline Louise Smith, Carla bat Nancy, Kim bat Nancy, Andres ben Gloria, Temi bat Rochel, Yehudi bat Rachel, Sam's List, Ilana Rachel bat Eleanor, Eliezer ben Sarah, Rivka bat Kochava, Michelle Sipe, Carmel bat Iris, Beryl ben Mordechai, Verifka Razel, Eden Lerner, Alan Rodkin, Selby Lerner, Herbert Singer, Isabella bat Sarah, Malka bat Yaakova, Chana bat Chaya Etel, Marcia Cates. Thank you for adding the names. You can call our office during the week and add names that will be read every day, twice a day for 4 weeks. For now, this is the Debbie Friedman version of the Misha Berach. Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor Habracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Haimotenu Mekor Habracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Thank you, everyone. Page 80. Some people have the custom to rise and stand from here till Kiddush. If that's your custom and you are able, God bless. A few prayers before our toast for Kiddush. Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzvam Vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishbot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher asa vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi Vayekadesh oto kivo shavat mikol melachto kivo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim asher bara Elohim laso. Page 82. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarai Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Agado Hagibor ve'Anora El Elyon Koneh Shamayim Varetz Gen avod bidvaro Mechaye meitim b'mamaro Ha'el hakadosh ein kamohu Ameniach le'amo B'yom Shabbat kodesho Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem Kivam ratza lehaniach lahem Lefanav navod b'yirav v'fachad V'nodeh lishmo b'chol yom tamid Mein habrachot el hahodaot Adonai Adonai Shalom Mekadesh HaShabbat Umvarech Shvi Umeniach B'Kedusha Le'amedu Shnei Oneg Zecher L'Maaseh Vereshit. Page 84. This is another one of those big hits that they squeeze in just before the end of the service. Eloheinu, Eloi Avoteinu, Retzevim Nuchateinu. Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'ten chelkeinu b'toratecha, sabeinu mituvecha, v'samachenu v'shuatecha, v'taher, v'taher libeinu le'avdecha be'emet, v'taher libeinu le'avdecha be'emet, v'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'alva v'ratzon shabakodshecha v'yanuchuva Yisrael Mekadeshei shemecha v'taher libeinu le'ovdecha be'emet v'taher libeinu v'taher libeinu le'ovdecha be'emet Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Page 86, Kaddish Shalem. Higadal v'higadal shemei Rabbi be'alma divrach iruteva mechmachuteh b'chayechon v'mechon chayechon b'Yisrael b'agalav v'zman kariv ve'imeru amen. Yeshmei Rabbi mevorach le'alam u'lamei amayam. Yiparach v'ishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yinaseh v'yidadar v'yidalev v'yidalal shemei dekudesh abrichu le'elam min kol berach v'shirata tushvechata v'nechamata d'miram be'ama v'imeru amen. Tikabal tzlot hon uvot hon Decho Yisrael, Kodam Avohoni Vishmaya Ve'imeru, Amen. Yesh Lama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'kol Yisrael Ve'imeru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom. Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael Ve'imeru, Amen. Well, I hope you have something prepared, poured, ready for Kiddush. Sorry again that we're a few minutes late here. Try and savor it a little extra time. So pour that, what are the fellas? Ooh, that might be a new bottle for a special occasion. Concord grape for sure. Could be a 2020. Could be a 2020 bottle. Anyway, I'm going to just have this ready, but I'll put it down for a second. Kiddush is going to be on page 90, so we can get ready for that. But I did want to say something before. If this is your first time, what I thought was always a good move, and I like to do it, was make a little toast. It's kind of part Devar Torah, part teaching, part story, part reflection, something to think about for Kiddush. So obviously, I've been thinking about this being the last one. I want to tell you about this room. Just before I do, I want to mention at the very beginning, I want to say a big thank you to my wife, Heather, my boys, Hugo and Felix, my parents, my sister and my Baba, my wife's family, and on both sides, our extended family of aunts, uncles, cousins, who have been a tremendous support to me throughout my life. Many of these people I've known for all of my life, especially my parents, my sister, my Baba, and I want to thank them for everything. So we'll start with them. It's funny that, and the other thing, so it's funny that this service, which is, it's not my last thing. We've got a bar mitzvah tomorrow, and we've got students next week until Wednesday. But it's fitting that there's this, this climactic, dramatic moment here, this farewell moment in this room, and I'm alone in this room talking to all of you, because with the exception of my bar mitzvah, where I had lessons from a tutor at home, actually, I spent very little time in the shul. Obviously I had my bar mitzvah at the synagogue. You probably all know that by now. But really my journey to this moment began in this room all by myself. The summer after grade 11, which for me was in 2002, I was hired for a summer job. The synagogue got a government grant to work on a project, which was to create a database and categorize all of the Yortzeit plaques in this room. If you've been in this room before, you know what it looks like. I'm not about to start panning the camera and touching Rabbi Moss's stuff. He'd never forgive me. But the power of being in the chapel are the names and the lights. The lights are lit for the entire month. So as I look around it, and there's stained glass, it's a really amazing room. And my introduction to a working life at Shaare Zedek happened 19 years ago in this very room. Larry, the custodian, who is still with us, he's about to hit 30 years soon. Amazing. Congratulations, mazel to Larry. Brought a ladder in so that I could read the ones on the top. And I, with pencil and paper, because 2002, I recorded every Yortzeit plaque in this room. There are hundreds and hundreds. And it was used to create a database, and when you come back, there's a screen that scrolls through names, and that information led to an incredible project. But that is where my journey to this moment began. So I find it very fitting that I am again alone in this room. Not really alone, but you know what I mean. Surrounded by these names and these lights and this place. So what has happened in the last 2 decades? When I had that summer job, I could never have imagined. I don't even think that many years ago I could ever have imagined that I would be here. When I was 19, just a couple years after that, those summer jobs, I took another job that was supposed to be just for the summer as interim chazan sheni, teaching bar and bat mitzvah lessons, reading Torah on Shabbat, all holidays. At that time, it might have even been Mondays and Thursday mornings, Shabbat afternoons. It ended up being a job I did for, 17 years. That was the spring of 2004, and never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined what would have come after that. Ever since that day until this moment, Sheretz Zedek has been a constant in my life, being involved in synagogue, but especially this place. When I was a university student, I had a job here. When I moved to Halifax to go to journalism school, I always came back for the high holidays, but I worked at the synagogues there. I remember arriving in Halifax and getting an email. A cousin of mine in Winnipeg says, "You're a Torah reader and a teacher, and we need someone," and boom, there I was working at the synagogues in Halifax. Then when I returned to Winnipeg and became a radio host, I got back working here again. And then after 6 years on the radio, I decided that it was time, that the timing was right. Rabbi Mas and I studied together. We became rabbis after a year of study, and we got smicha almost 4 years ago to the day, July 1st, 2017. Took over from Rabbi Green in the year after that. But Sheretz Zedek has always been a constant in my life, and I've been so privileged and lucky that that has been the case, because it gave me when I was on the radio and I was deciding that I was going to leave that, it was because Sheretz Zedek was something so, the work that we were doing here was so meaningful and so special that when I wasn't totally feeling that at the radio, I knew I could feel it here, because I felt it every Saturday, every Shabbat morning. I felt it in every bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah lesson I taught, in every bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah ceremony that we had, in every wedding. And then after that, of course, in working with funerals and families, but all of the things that we do. Your messages today have been overwhelming and very touching. And they remind me of how I feel. Because even earlier today, someone was asking me how I feel, and I don't really know how to describe it other than to say the feeling I feel is that I am so grateful. I'm full of thanks because I love doing this work. The synagogue, what did this constant provide? An outlet for all of these, for my creativity, for the things I'm interested in, for my love of Judaism and Hebrew and music and Torah, but especially my love of working with people of all ages. When I was 19 and I could still pretty clearly remember my own bar mitzvah, I became a bar and bat mitzvah teacher. And I've taught close to 20 years of students, some of them who are now getting married, and I'm getting to officiate their weddings. I've done weddings for a decade. What is greater than getting to be under a chuppah with a couple? And in the last 4 years, I have been graveside with dozens and dozens and dozens of families who have lost someone dear to them, often someone I knew from the fact that I grew up here and I'm from here. These life cycle events, combined with Friday nights in recent memory and Shabbat mornings for close to 20 years, it's all about all of you. And I often on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we get bugged by my partner, Rabbi Mas, because it would take me a while to walk through the congregation following the Torah and shake hands, because I really do know everybody. From having grown up here, that's what's happened to me here. I grew up here. I've told people when I started this job, I was living in my parents' house and I couldn't grow a beard. And now I have my own house, a wife, 2 kids, and gray hair. Every day I find new gray hairs in my beard. And it's been with me all along, and so have all of you. And I just feel so grateful that you allowed me to be your rabbi in recent years and welcomed me. And for all the years that before that, where I was a chazan sheni or whatever, you welcomed me into your families and into your lives, and I'm just so grateful. I'm sorry for everyone who's sad. I'm sorry that I'm leaving and that makes a lot of people sad. You pick up quotes over the course of your life, right? And it feels so cliche, but I just keep coming back to it. Don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that it happened. I'm just so happy that I got to do all the things I got to do because of this place and because of all of you. And maybe there could have been other things down the road, but that's not the Jewish way. In the Jewish way, we celebrate what we've done together. So, lots to celebrate. So some thank yous. I thanked my family earlier because when I got to this point, I knew that it would be kind of maybe a tipping point. Thank you to Jackie Wasserman. Who was the person who hired me for the summer job that put me in this room almost 20 years ago, and for the job that led me to here when I was 19. Thank you to Rabbi Anibal Mas, who's my friend, who has been here the entire journey for me, who is your rabbi, and you can follow him. He has tremendous vision, great ideas. I could not think of another person I would rather work with. I've loved working with him. I love that we studied together. And I wish him all the best. As well, the people I work with on a very regular basis on the ritual team. Bill Wiseman, who's also been here from the beginning for me and longer. Leslie Emery, who has also been here from the beginning. Bonnie Robinson, who retired but still hangs around. Alice Weissman and Stacy Bazak are ritual secretaries, and Claire Whiteman even before that. Estelle Raber, helping with Life Cycle. Robert Didich in the office, and so many people in the office and in the kitchen and the custodial maintenance team who I have 20 years of stories, and I'm just so thankful. But especially all of you. So, where do we go from here? As sad as it is for me to leave, it became very clear to me, quickly and somewhat recently, and certainly surprisingly, that after a very long time of working here, it just wasn't the right time anymore. It was the time to move on to something else. I can't express how being a dad has changed me. I never saw it coming, and I'm very, very thankful for that as well. So I'm going to focus my career, at least for the next little while, on being at home and being a dad and a husband. But we're not moving from Winnipeg. We love it here and we love this community. And I'm not planning on disappearing. I've got a number of weddings I'll be officiating. I intend to be around. How do you get a hold of me? Well, for those of you who have my cell phone number, it's not changing. And this email is going away, but my personal email is easy. matthew.leibl@gmail.com. Just make sure you spell it right. The spelling is there. So now you can get a hold of me. Because when I told the other rabbis in town, there's this group of us, believe it or not, we're friends, we get along. I think there's this conception that the rabbis shouldn't get along, but we do. We're the W Corps. That's my name. Winnipeg Council of Rabbis. Rabbi Alan Finkel, chairperson for life. And Rabbi Finkel, Rabbi Cleo Rose, Rabbi Ben Arush, and Rabbi Mas. When I told them all I was leaving the job, I said, so I guess this is kind of it. And they were like, whoa, 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 whoa. Rabbi Ben Arush said, once a rabbi, always a rabbi. So I get to stay. I'm still involved with the Grey Academy through their board. As I said, I've still got a presence in the community, I hope, with weddings and other events in which I'll be able to participate. I'm just not going to be the rabbi here. But like I said, you've got a really, really good rabbi here, and really, really good people who work here, and really, really good people who go here. And those are great things. So if I get to be a rabbi forever, I became a rabbi because of this place, because of Sherry Zedek, and because of all of you. And I will never forget that. I will always cherish that. I will look back on my time here with all of you with fondness, with laughter, with pride, with warm feelings and happy thoughts, with the sense that we did some really, really great things together, things that should be celebrated, and with a tremendous sense of gratitude. And now it's time to go. So thank you. And let's make Kiddush together. Page 90. Grab the strongest thing you got. And let's rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. The Shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemaaseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. B'Shabbat kodshecha be'ava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. My email explodes over this weekend because of all of you. I'm going to be very disappointed. Email. Has to change his email. Goes off the grid. Okay. So, we're going to do Aleinu and then the final Mourner's Kaddish, and we'll leave it there. Yeah. It's been a blast. Thank you. Gosh. Thank you. And I see that there are messages, and I'll try and read them all. I don't want to start reading them now and try and read them online on air because that won't go so well for me, I don't think. So let's do Aleinu, page 118. I'm all verklempt. I never got to do my class. You know me, I like creative classes. I never got to do my one little talk on all the English words that sound like they could be Yiddish words. Don't believe that guy. His stories are always so far-fetched. Oh, tear that building down. It's so derelict. A friend of mine used to think that spatula sounded like a Yiddish word. I don't know. Page 118, please rise. Oh, no. Much better. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshid, shelo asanu kegoyei aratzot, velo samanu kimishpechot hadama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegoraleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, הוא יושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו ופסולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. Page 120. כי המלכות שלך היא, ולא מעט תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך נמוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד. On page 124, we have our final recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish. I invite you, wherever you are, please stand and join with us together. A few years back, we had this idea that I love, and I hope they continue it for, well, forever. That the final Kaddish of the service is one we can all say together, keeping in mind all the souls who have no one to say Kaddish for them. I want to mention again This terrible tragedy that happened in Florida with this building collapsing. People who have passed away, we say Kaddish for them. Anyone whose name we call today for Yortzites, for the 15th of Tammuz or the 16th of Tammuz, or those we've lost in the past week, we say Kaddish for all of them. Page 124. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbi. Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. B'agalau hizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbi mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yinaseh. V'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Thank you, everybody. I still feel that. I feel like I felt 10 minutes ago when I told you. I feel so very grateful. And thank you for making me feel that way. Let's do this last one to say goodbye. Shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael b'meru. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone. We have a wonderful bar mitzvah tomorrow morning, and maybe you'd like to tune in. Sure, it'll be my last Shabbat morning, but the bar mitzvah is really going to be so special and so wonderful for a young man who has waited and rescheduled and is finally going to get his day with a few extra people in attendance, and maybe all of you online as well. 10 a.m. Winnipeg time. Hopefully we'll see you then, or we'll see you another time. And thanks again, everyone. Thank you. Shabbat shalom.